Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Success Thursday this week with Kaisa Martiskainen. Hey Kaisa, welcome back.
Hey Vasco, thanks for having me.
So Kaisa, today we are having, of course, Scrum Master Success question, which is kind of the question of the week, of course. But before we dive into that, do share with us, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Sure. So I think the most important thing about retros is to switch up the format often enough to keep it interesting. So I personally enjoy making different strings out of the liberating structures. So one that I particularly like out of the liberating structures is the 15% solutions. So it's a structure where a problem or a challenge is identified and everyone in the team has to come up with a list of 15% solutions to that problem, which are then discussed in pairs or groups. So it's a really simple exercise, but I feel like it's really powerful.
What does that 15% solution mean exactly? Can you explain that for us?
Sure. So it means that it's something that you can do right now. So it's some kind of a small solution or some small change or small action that you can take right now that doesn't require any kind of extra resources or any approval from anyone. So I guess that's essentially what it is. So often we have these big problems and big issues, and sometimes we feel like if we can't solve the whole thing all at once, then it's not worth it, or then we
get stuck in the discussion of the perfect solution, right? It's like, okay, before we have the perfect solution, we can't do anything, and because we don't have a perfect solution, we can't do anything.
That's it. So this is to counteract that in a way. So these kind of feelings of negativity and being blocked and not being able to make progress, they're really common and everyone experiences them more often than not. So when we have a problem that we want to solve, like I said, we often want to solve it all, but it's obviously not possible. So the 15% solutions forces us to be creative and come up with small things that we can do immediately. And often those small things on their own or together can cause this butterfly effect and actually move us that much closer to the end goal.
Sometimes they're enough, right?
That really
like
big
we
problem.
do one small thing that we think it's only a small thing, and we end up realizing that was the solution. We don't need anything else anymore.
Exactly. That's so true. And also I think that having the patience to progress a little bit more slowly and like move one little step at a time is a state of mind that's not always easy to get to, but this exercise forces us to go there, which is one of the reasons why I really like using it with my teams.
Yeah, which is, of course, the core of agility, progress in small steps. Kaisa, thank you for sharing that. We'll put the link to all of those on the show notes so that people can go and check out strings, liberating structures, and, of course, the 15% solutions. But let's dive into the big question of the week, what success means for us as Scrum Masters. So do share with us, what's your definition of success as a Scrum Master?
Sure. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel like there are some people that really like to focus on some of these agile metrics or Scrum metrics, like what is the team velocity or things like that. But for me personally, I don't really use them that much to measure success, like for the team or for myself. I mean, mainly because sometimes it's hard to kind of pinpoint what is my influence in different things. So if the team if they have good velocity, if they're reaching their sprint goal, or if they're delivering value, it's not always so straightforward to say like, well, that shows that myself as a Scrum Master or Agile coach, I did a good job. So I think it's a bit more complicated than that. So that's why I like to look at other indicators. So I mean, I like to survey the team a lot. So have different kind of pulse checks on different kind of topics. So actually, one thing that was actually I was inspired by this, I guess, like this group called the Liberators, and they have something called the Scrum Culture Index, which is, I guess, this little survey that I sent to teams that I personalized myself. So the Liberators were my inspiration for that, and that survey really tries to measure how agile is the team actually being. So there are questions such as, do you feel constrained, or do you feel like you can take initiative? Or actually, like, it's not those two questions, but it's the sliding scale. Like, how much do you feel like you are constrained in the work that you do versus how much do you feel like you can take initiative? Do you feel like you have to comply, or do you feel like you can act freely? Do you feel controlled, or do you feel supported? Do you feel like you need to follow contracts, or do you feel like you are trusted to make decisions?
So it's kind of two extremes where we kind of place ourselves between that spectrum, right?
Exactly. So that's some kind of a variation of that is what I try to ask the team regularly. And obviously this has more to do with the organization, so with the bigger picture that we work in. And obviously, as a Scrum Master, we can't we don't control the organizational factors such as governance or things like that. But I feel like as a Scrum Master, we do have some leverage within the organization that maybe the team itself does not have. So we interface with stakeholders and leadership in a way that if my team is telling me that they feel controlled instead of supported, or that they just follow contracts instead of being trusted to make decisions, I feel like that is something that I need to work on within the organization, or sometimes it could be something on the team level as well. So I really like the Scrum Culture Index survey, and I guess then on a different more the psychological side of the team, I like to refer back to what I mentioned earlier, which are the writings by Esa Saarinen about systems intelligence. So he writes about systems. So systems and structures are all around us, and every team and the environment that they operate in the organization, as well as the organization itself, these are structures. And he actually writes that structures produce behavior, and beliefs regarding structures also produce behavior. And the beliefs regarding our beliefs, they also produce certain behavior. And people can get caught in systems that actually serve nobody's interest. And much of the time, people display behaviors they would change if they could only see the bigger picture that they are in. So this is something that I always try to work on in the team. So identify if there are some kind of issue. So this is another thing that Esa Saarinen talks about, which is systems of holding back. So these systems that exist in teams that actually nobody wants to have there, but then again, nobody really knows what to do about them. So as an example, in the development team, we have QA and developers, and QA would like to collaborate more with developers, and developers would like to maybe collaborate QA as well, but they would like that the code that they push to production is of excellent quality. But because there are these structures of holding back, these two parts of the team don't actually collaborate, and that is this that comes at a disadvantage to the whole team. So I like to try to identify these kind of systems and somehow remove them. And if I'm able to do that, I consider myself successful in what I do.
Absolutely. And those systems, as you said, have a life of their own. So we need to be careful and we need to take action as Scrum Masters. Thank you for sharing that, Kaisa.
Thank you so much, Vasco.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.